today's grammar point is all about 转折 or changing of the turn of events. Essentially, we're just going to talk about the word but, B-U-T in Chinese. And there's 4 different ways of saying but that we're going to talk about today, starting with 不过. So let's check out this first sentence here. 我儿子没有手机，不过我有手机. My son doesn't have a phone, but I do. So 不过 is usually used in positive situations. It's also the most, let's say, the softest way of saying but as well. So it can also be used in neutral situations, but if it's especially soft or benign sort of change of events that you're talking about, you can use 不过 as well. But it's usually used in positive circumstances. So let's look at sentence 2 and also check out another way of saying but. 我吃了，但是可是我的儿子还没吃. So this sentence has a bunch of cool stuff in it. And it just goes to show you that even though this sentence is designed from level 14 to help you learn the word 但是, or at least that's what we're doing in this circumstance, it contains a bunch of other grammar points that you're also learning, or maybe you haven't come across yet, but it will also help you solidifying them if you listen to and read this sentence and even shadow it, as in speak it at the same time. So for example, we have 我吃了, I've eaten, or I have eaten that 了, you're practicing that. It signifies a change or completion. 但是, of course, and 可是 means but. 我的儿子还没吃. So you've got the example of 还没, still have not, which could also be 还没有, but it's often shortened to be more colloquial. So 还没吃, just to make it more natural. So anyway, 但是 or 可是, I want you to remember that these 2 ways of saying but are essentially interchangeable. You can use them anytime you like, but there are some subtle differences. So 但是 is slightly more formal, and it also has more of a connotation of a more abrupt or jarring turn of events. So I ate, but my son hasn't eaten. It's a bit more serious, I guess you could say, from the speaker's perspective than, oh, I've got a phone. So there's that example. Also, yeah, but that's it really. So 可是 and 但是, just see them as the same, except you might want to say 但是 for when it's a bit more serious. I also hear Chinese people say 但是呢, sort of like as a break in what they're saying, just to extra emphasize the however or but turn of events that they're talking about. So let's look at sentence 3 here. Again, we're talking about someone's 儿子, someone's son. 我有2个儿子, 可是 or 但是没有女儿. So again, we're negative. So the last sentence was also negative. 我儿子没吃, 还没吃, so it's negative. And this is also negative. So for both of these sentences, sentence 2 and 3, we would not use 不过, because that's only for positive, right? So let's look at sentence 4. 我住在东边, 不过我在西边工作. So this one we're using 不过 for the fact that this person works in the West. So what about sentence 5 here? Sentence 5 is introducing one last but here, which is 但, not 但是, just 但 by itself. So let's have a look. 我只有一只大狗，但有2只小猫。我只有一只大狗，但有2只小猫。So I've only got one big dog, but I have 2 small kittens. So this 但 is, out of all of the ones we've spoken about so far, is the most formal. You'll usually see it in written examples, and if you use it in speech, it's not like it might sound a little bit strange if you're talking just with friends or just in a very casual environment, but you can use it in, say, speeches or just more formal situations, or if you're talking to someone with a bit of status and you want to sound posh, you can go ahead and use it. But that's it. That's the only difference, really. So these different ways of saying but, we've got 但是, 但, 可是, and 不过. They should be all you'll need, really, to get this meaning across. And if you keep reading the sentences that come up in the course, if you are on the course, then you will eventually acquire them, and you'll eventually know exactly when to use it just instinctively. Okay? So I think 但是, 可是, and 不过 are all you'll really need to get by and to use but in all these different contexts. So if you go through the course, the Mandarin Blueprint method, you start reading the sentences. You can also search for the grammar tag, which is coming up on screen right now. And you can get all of the flashcards in one go that relate to this particular grammar point, this 转折, this turn of events. And you can review them individually if you like. I hope that helped you guys, and that should be all you'll need for now for mastering this grammar concept. So let's move on. Hey guys, if you like this video and you'd like us to help you reach literacy and fluency in Mandarin Chinese as fast as possible without all the headache of traditional learning methods, just head to mandarinblueprint.com to learn more.